For the past month, tempers have been frayed in Europe. Various discussions at many official and non-official levels have focused either on the possibility of mitigating a withdrawal of the United States from NATO, or much more realistically, on strengthening what is perceived as a weakening of the American security guarantee in NATO with new, strictly European means. Whatever the solutions envisaged, no current public discussion seems to address the question of what deterrence means. Yet this is the only truly defining issue in this case. Just because thrill seekers have suddenly appeared everywhere, it does not mean that deterrence has become stronger, or that it will become stronger in the eyes of the adversary. Because if military deterrence has any reality at all, it is only in the eyes of the adversary. And in the case of allies, within the framework of extended deterrence, in the eyes of those allies. Then the first relevant question should therefore be, what is there to deter? If the very existence of the European NATO countries is threatened, then French and British nuclear capabilities are already intended to protect these existences. It has been the case for 50 years at least. NATO is a nuclear alliance for this very reason. And such a fact has been acknowledged since the Ottawa NATO summit in 1974. It means that, as they are, the French and British nuclear forces can already threaten any adversary with unacceptable damage. Here the point is, a European dimension of deterrence cannot suffer any exceptions. It must be solemnly declared and reiterated by the French and by the British leaders without any possible ambiguity for those to whom such a message is addressed. For the rest, operationalization of this dimension has no place in the public debate. Then, if the objective is to deter Russia from attacking European interests that are below the nuclear threshold, then it is not nuclear deterrence that should be invoked, but the whole spectrum of advanced conventional deterrence to discourage any future attempts. In the face of Russia, if Russia is to be seen as a threat to the security interests of European countries that are part of NATO or part of the European Union, deterrence is a relevant function of defense for us Europeans at the lower levels of a potential escalation. Let us say low and medium intensity actions from Russia. What can be done to deter those low and medium Russian actions that we know can escalate to the detriment of the interests that are specifically based on nuclear deterrence? This is the right way to formulate the current European debate on deterrence. The point is, such a question is the only one that should concern us, rather than how the French strike force could have a European dimension, since, again, it is supposed to already have one. It is either a waste of time or a subtle way to admit that until now, such a European dimension has been nothing but literature. In which case, the very proposal to Europeanize the existing nuclear deterrent forces in Europe, to some extent, could be perceived an admission of weakness, or at least fragility. So in these terms, the massive investments that are being made and that will have to continue to be made in the means of robust national deterrence, if they are at all possible and when realistic, are in many cases such a budgetary priority for the European states that further investments in a European nuclear deterrent will not be probable, except to try to create an illusion which in terms of deterrence is of absolutely no use. Our European debate has become very much stimulating, and in many respects it is a historic debate. But it sometimes seems that we forget a basic principle, whatever deterrence is meant to. Deterrence is, or deterrence is not. But it cannot be decreed. And to be quite frank, I think there have already been too many official speeches in Europe on nuclear deterrence in the last month, meaning that social scientists can talk endlessly about deterrence. But the role of states is to deter. Full stop.